Hey, welcome to another Fantasy Happy Hour, week 16, right? 2 more weeks.
Yep.
Um, we're in playoff race mode right now. Things start to get a little more of a gamble with some of these picks, so bear with us here. If we get them wrong, we get them wrong. Although I've had some solid wide receiver and quarterback picks past few weeks. Too bad it doesn't actually help any of my fantasy football because I am still don't win. Okay, we're gonna jump into some things here. Hopefully, you guys had fun on the Friday and Saturday with the holidays and enjoyed some Christmas football. Um, Taryn, you want to start it off with us for some QB?
Well, you got to start looking at motivation here in this last couple weeks, and if you're going to play those games that aren't, guys aren't going to be too motivated, and I'm hoping I can get your insight on one of my picks here. But you got to watch the rookies are going to come out to play now in some of those games with dead teams, teams without playoff contention. So my quarterback starts with a team that's hunting for the division win based on tonight's game, and that's Baker Mayfield versus the New York Jumbo Jets with their first big win. They're losing their chance at the first overall pick, but Baker's thrown for almost 300 in the last 3 games. He's chucking the ball. Like, he's got some heat behind his tosses. Landry's playing great. A couple of those backup receivers I like. I'm going to mention them later at wide receiver. I like some of the receiving core he's got right now. The Jets are a bit of a pass funnel. They have been. They looked really good against the Rams, shockingly. Well, not really good. They were 3-0 for most of that game, but their defense looked pretty good. They got to the quarterback a lot, but this is a different offensive line that I don't think they're going to get through in the same way they got through the Rams. They want this division, and if the Steelers lose tonight, they have a real good shot at this division the way they're playing. So I think Baker Mayfield to go for 300 and kind of just go out looking to clinch this division overall is a great play tonight. So where are you going at the old quarterback position?
Well, when you play fantasy sports, when you make a good pick, you ride it out back to back. Jalen Hurts, bye Carson Wentz. This is just more of a fun pick because I like the chirping Eagles fans. But I mean, 3 TDs, 300 yards, a rushing TD. I mean, pretty darn good. It's kind of like when we saw Tua at the start of the season or whenever that was in the middle beginning, had 3 or 4 good games there. So I'm thinking just ride it out this week. I'm sure the Eagles are on an emotional high of, we found a guy. I don't think they're eliminated from playoffs yet. I think because that division's so bad. So
that whole division's still in the hunt.
Yeah. So it's up in the air, and, they're probably thinking another Super Bowl season when they rode Nick Foles. So that would be entertaining to see. So yeah, I'm riding that one out. Moving on to my running back pick here, though. Another good one here. I'm going not for the same reasons, but I'm going David Johnson with the Texans. But hear me out. Put up 27 fantasy points last week. They need to get that running back situation figured out and make it look like the trade look like something. So they used him as like a pass option more so last week. I think he had 11 receptions and then 8 rushing attempts. So he got most of his points from actually catching the ball. But the Texans are done for the year. I mean, you might as well just be creative with the running option. All their receivers are hurt we're seeing Chad Hansen and Kiki QT keep putting up points. So I think they obviously try to work that out and figure out what's going on. They'll hopefully utilize them a lot more. With that being said, though, I mean, you could also get the other Johnson in there. I'm sure they're both kind of you're getting the same thing. If one of them goes off, you'll be happy, but the chances of that are slim. I think that's the first game we saw David Johnson get over 20 points this year. So a little bit of a riskier pick, but what are you thinking, Tarek, for running back?
Well, you disappointed me. My face wasn't of disgust, but that was my pick. I actually took your Texan. I was like, I saw him go 11 for 106 last week, like 13. I think it was 13 targets, crazy because they have no ground game and they have
it was 11 for 11.
Was it 11-11? Okay.
Yeah.
But 11 for 11, that's awesome to see. I mean, he's becoming the number one receiver there by injuries and drug suspensions. Since he actually is looking pretty good on Monday Night Football, so maybe that's something, but they have been giving up a ton to the running backs. So this is a great spot for DJ overall. I'll just mention somebody else. I had to quickly go to my phone because we don't prep these beforehand. But one of the best plays, top of the board, I think he's going to be major chalk, is David Montgomery for the Bears. Another great week. He's been in the winning lineups, like I think 2 or 3 of the last 4 weeks. Like he's been playing awesome. He's getting 20. I think he had 34 touches last week. He's averaging like 26, and he's running the ball a pile, and he gets the Jaguars. So, I mean, another great matchup. He ran all over the Vikings, 2 touchdowns last week, over 100 yards. I think you can go there at the high price end. I think he's 7,400. But I mean, he's a good plant, especially if you're playing cash games. He's probably the lock button for running back. But I'll bounce it down to wide receiver, and hopefully Justin didn't take a Brown at 4,800 on DK in Rashard Higgins.
No.
Because I'd be stunned if he did. And so this is my stacking option with Baker. He's kind of became like that secondary receiver that's getting a lot of the work in the outside, because Landry plays in the middle. So Landry's going to be your guy to get your first downs, but he's going to be your chunk play guy, Rashard Higgins. Outside of Peoples-Jones, he's been seeing 6 to 8 targets the last 3 games. 2 TDs in his last 3, so he's been great in the red zone. He hasn't broken 100 yards yet, but I think this is the week he does it. Him and Baker, one of my favorite stacks, as I mentioned, to talk about Baker, and this is a game for them to look to hunt that division down. So where are you going wide receiver? Are you stacking with Hurts? Because I was going to mention to you earlier, Djax is back off the IR, so he might be playing for the Eagles again.
Could be a good option. I did not pick him. I'm actually going to a game I watched on Sunday with Russell Gage. They're playing a Kansas City. Again, Kansas City, they're obviously going to the playoffs. Atlanta, not. But Russell Gage had, I think, 5 receptions only, 70 yards and a TD, and put up, quite a good good amount of fantasy points for being about $4,000, maybe mid 4,000s. I forgot off the top of my head. But I could see this one. Matt Ryan can have some great games. He can keep up with anyone. I'm confused why they're not that great, because they have a pretty good team and they tend to put up, shootouts. So if this one goes pretty high scoring and it turns out to be, just as exciting as the Buccaneers and Falcons, who, by the way, lost to Brady after a big lead blown again, which is hilarious. Then I'd expect you could also go Ridley in that game too, wouldn't hurt, but I'm going for the cheaper option with Russell Gage. I liked what I saw. Never watched him before, and that's my pick there. Bouncing into my tight end here, though, I'm going with the Hurts stack here with the Ertz stack.
Great. Hey, really? Holy, how did we plan this?
You get the drop the H and we get the Ertz stack. So URTZ, that's what we're calling this one. He only put up 8 points, but it didn't get much action. I think he was like 2 for 7 though on the targets, or 2 for 8 or something like that.
2 for 6.
Yeah, okay, 2 for 6. But I don't know. We give it another week here, and Ertz is back. They could do, if he's this cheap, if he's like $3,800 like he was last week.
3,100.
3,100. That's a steal. Like you have to take that. You have to take that risk. But seeing as me and you have the same pick, I'll let you bounce into it. You might have a little bit more on it than me, but
I'm gonna power look through DK here and try to come up with another pick. But I loved when I saw that price tag at 3,100. I went, this is the lowest price I think I've seen Ertz in the, how many seasons I've been playing DFS. Hurts is bringing new life to that offense. He went 2 for 69 yards, which means if he caught 3 of the other 5 targets that were seen his way, he would have had a 100-yard game. So, great option. Hurts made that offense look great. And when you can get any tight end getting 7 targets at $3K, you take them, because that means you have a chance at least of 10 to 13 point game just if he catches them for 10 yards. So I think that's a great play. My initial lean in this was actually to go to Noah Fant. He's just more expensive now that he's getting all his targets. He's 4,800, but he's been that number. He's basically the first option in that offense. He got, I think, 3 targets on the first 4 passing plays there last Thursday, and I think he's a great option in Denver. He's kind of that number 1 receiver because they don't have a true number 1. I mean, Tim Patrick's kind of their de facto number 1 with Sutton out, but I think Fant's a great option in that offense. And another, if you're going to pay up a little bit, play him. One thing to note with Kansas City is that Hilaire is going to sit out, and they've almost locked now. So playing against Kansas City might be a good play here going into the last few weeks. They're basically I think they need one more win to get the number 1 seed overall and then lock home field. So this will be the game they'll play out. But Hilaire is out, so you're going to see Bell and a little more of the passing game again. But bouncing down to the defense, I went to a bounce back spot, and I had to. The Rams, holy, losing to the Jets. Like, yeah, giving the Jets your first win, you got to be pissed off. Aaron Donald stormed off that field a little angry. I thought he was going to hit someone with his helmet like Garrett did 2 seasons ago. But I think this is a bounce back game against Seattle. Seattle gives up a ton of sacks, and Russell's been pick prone this year, so I think this is a good spot for them to bounce back, beat Seattle, and kind of prove it on the defensive side. But let's get defensive, Justin. Where are you going?
I got the same mindset as you. Not the same pick though. I was going with the Browns. The opposite of a bounce back, a bounce down. They're just getting destroyed in the media right now for getting that win and losing their shot at, I think it's Trevor Lawrence is his name, or Lawrence, something Lawrence. Yeah. And I mean, obviously players are not going to throw a game, but you gotta not help but wonder how comical would it be if they get blown out this week and the Browns put up 20 some points of the, defensive touchdown and, sack Darnold a handful of times. Could be pretty comical, and I'm just hoping for the opposite of a bounce back and going with the Browns. Plus, they're average priced. Well, they'll probably be higher priced this week. Playing the Jets, I haven't looked quite yet, but
yeah, they're in the higher echelon, but they're not that high.
Yeah, and I had the Browns defense in a showdown this weekend or last night for the Sunday nighter, and I mean, towards the end of the game, they got, a fumble recovery and like 4 or 5 sacks or something. So worst case, they still put up, 7 points for me, right? Yeah. Hopefully not hopefully don't allow too many and then get you a few extras on the points allowed. But yeah, that's where I'm thinking for this week here. So it should be an interesting one. This is where it'll get pretty fun. And, you're going to see the big winners have someone you've never heard of. And it's going to be, a lucky rookie that breaks out.
Yeah, we might win big because we're going to have all the same picks.
Yeah, no doubt, eh? But yeah, if you guys like this one, stick with us one more week for Week 17 before we get into some playoff DFS. And then hockey's around the corner. So should be pretty fun. If you've enjoyed the coverage of the season, give us some subscribe. So, we'll hopefully you'll watch a little bit next year too, or another sport, and get into something else here. If you're not Canadian and you like hockey, stick around for the NHL DFS coming over the next few weeks here.